Hello everybody, I'm King Havo, the main developer from Super Pixel Games, and I'm going to take you through how recruiting works in our feature-packed Dynasty mode for newcomers to College Bowl. The first thing you'll want to do is review your Dynasty settings where you're going to choose to control all the teams or just one team. This is important as it will determine the actions that you take during the various events while playing your Dynasty mode. Next, you'll want to pay attention to the prestige level of the team you start your Dynasty with. Prestige determines which coaching goals you get. The higher prestige teams get harder goals, the lower prestige the easier goals, and it also determines how much money you start out your Dynasty with for every team. You get more money for higher prestige teams and less for the lower prestige. And this money helps you build facilities and give your team and your schools boosts throughout the year. The last thing you're going to want to focus on when it comes to prestige is your recruiting pull. The higher the prestige teams, the more recruiting power you get, and we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so you're hired. You have your team, your coach, and you have some money in the bank. What are you going to do? Well, the first thing we recommend doing is going to the front office and looking at your campus facilities. These are very important when it comes to recruiting because each one of these facilities are going to give you pitch boosts for the type of player you're trying to recruit. Every player has different interests that they're trying to achieve, and each one of these facilities will give you a boost when it comes to pitching, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But one of the major ones you're going to want to look at here is scouting facilities. Scouting facilities give you the ability to show and reveal some of the grades for the new recruits and the prospects that you have on your board. So if you see a QB and you want to know what type of ratings they have, you will have a better chance at seeing those ratings and also seeing busts or gems and the soft traits by picking a higher tier scouting facility. So pay attention to this. If you don't buy any facilities throughout your entire season, you will really struggle when it comes time to recruit. And we're going to talk about that next. So in this example, we purchased a facility from every single type. We have academic, training, media, scouting, and recreational, and we picked one for each one. And each one of these, depending on how high of a tier you chose, will give you those boosts. The higher the tier, the higher the boost in recruiting players and getting them to commit to your school. So academic, you do find players with high IQ are going to be attracted to your squad. Training facilities, that's people with high work ethic. Media facilities, low greed. Scouting facilities are the ones where it will reveal more traits for you and will give you soft traits, give you their ratings and a better view. And you can look through each one of these and see how much it's going to give. And in our case, we bought some scouts here. They're going to reveal a 20% chance to identify a recruit as a buster or gem. And they're also going to reveal recruiting traits. And the higher the dollar amount that you spend, the better chance you get at unlocking some of this stuff. Scouting is really important. And then recreational, which focuses on players with high morale. Let's go ahead and take a look at what this does when you go to recruiting, because it will make a difference. And you need to do this or else you're going to be in trouble. So this is the recruiting screen, and when you land here, you're going to be presented with these help menus, and we strongly suggest that you read through these to get an idea of what it takes to run through the recruiting, and we're going to talk about these right now. So the recruiting is a 5-week period, and you basically are going to have strengths on what you pitch and how you evaluate players based on what type of facilities you have, what type of scouting facilities you have, as we mentioned before. You're also going to have the ability, depending on what scouting facility you chose, you may be able to unlock higher ratings versus lower ratings. In our case, we're at a 35% chance of unlocking ratings for the grades down here. And we also have a 20% chance to get these gems or busts that show up for the players, depending on, if we can identify someone as being somebody who's really good or somebody who's bad. And so that's a key indicator to show whether these grades even are working correctly. Because if you have a gem player, they're going to be better than the ratings that they show. They're going to be better than the stars. And you're going to get a key indicator to say this guy's good, right? You also have the ratings on the left, which, as it says here, they're not always accurate, but instead they're meant to give you an idea of the type of player that you're scouting. You have your interest up top here where you can look at the interest that a player has. Obviously, the more weeks go by, the more you pitch a player, the higher their interest is going to go towards that school. and the other schools are going to be pitching as well. So you're going to have competition when evaluating players. So it's a pretty strategic mode here, and you have to really try to roll up your sleeves and pick the right players for your school. And you're trying to pick the players based on the different pitches that we're going to talk about in a sec. You also have your buttons here that it goes through. It tells you, you can navigate to different positions. You have targets, commits, and lost players that you can look at. You can sort by different types of ratings and the stars in the top left. There's a lot of different ways you can navigate this information to give you an idea of what players you're targeting. You also have your scholarships in the bottom left, and that's determined by how many players graduate. Minus during the season, you do get discipline. If you have that setting turned on, you do get a discipline event that can come up, and if you lose a scholarship, then it will subtract from that list of scholarships. So let's say you have 29 players that have left to leave the school for graduation or leaving early for the pros. If you lost a scholarship, instead of it being 29, you'll be at 28. And then you also have your pitches, and your pitches are also based on the type of scouting facility you have. So the better scouting facility, the more pitches you're going to get per week. All right. Lastly, this is the most important part. When you're pitching players, each one of these pitch types, playtime, prestige, recreation, and so on, those are going to highlight different colors based on the strength of those facilities. Okay, so playtime, basically the purple is going to be your lowest strength for that category, like location here. This guy does not want to come to our school in this situation because of the location. Recreation's high, it's green. Media is lower, it's red. Yellow and orange are kind of in the middle, right? So you have playtime and academics. And then the white means that you really don't have any facilities that are increasing the attraction for those players, but you still can try to pitch for those if you have nothing left. So they still can have a chance to bring a player in. And then another part of it is every week that goes by, the closer it gets to the end of the session to week 5, the stronger your chances are of picking up a player because they want to go to a school, and you've also been pitching at them every week, certain players that you're targeting, hopefully, and those players are going to increase their interest levels. And when you get towards the top, you have a higher chance of getting them to commit. With that said, they can also commit with a lower interest level if you get very, very lucky, because it's a low percentage chance that they would commit with you, but you could try and go after it. And as you can see here, the colors are white is basically nothing. Purple means you have a low facility boost. Red, orange, yellow, all the way up to green. So take a look at those and make sure that that you're using those as part of your arsenal when you're trying to recruit. Now let's go ahead and look at the real life situation here. What I like to do is take a look at the roster and see what holes we need filled. Okay. All of the players that are in green, the walk-ons, those are your 29 players that you basically lost. So you're trying to fill those spots. And you might also be looking at players, like you might like some of these walk-ons and be okay with them and not try to recruit, right? You may find somebody in here that you like that has a strong enough skill level, and you're okay with that. Like if you look at our punter, he's a 77. You may not want to recruit for a punter. It just depends on your situation. So you're going to want to take a look at this roster pop-up because it's going to show you a high-level macro view of your roster. And from here, you can look back and you can decide who you want to target. Okay, so in our case, let's just say our halfback situation's poor, right? We got a 73 halfback. But we also have an 84. So, to be honest, we're not going to worry about that. But we did lose our starter, which is why Daly's up front. We also lost our backup. But let's pick a different position that has an issue with, let's just say our receiving crew. We lost all of our receivers -1, right? So let's just say we want to get someone who's in the 80s somehow. So we'll go ahead and we'll focus on the receiving crew and see these players. And as you can tell, this guy has no interest in us, basically. We're not even part of the top 4 teams. It's a low interest. And our team is in Georgia. So we could try to find players that are in Georgia and use them as a possible location recruit. Like this guy's from Georgia, but we want to also look at his loyalty. In this case, he has very low loyalty. So, but it still pops up as green because we're in Georgia. But he might not be interested because he's got a low loyalty. Well, let's go ahead and try to recruit him and just see what happens. And it's rejected. So, but his interest level should have gone up from here. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look for players that are going to have a chance to go to your school, right? So if you want to sort by star, you can do so, and you can try to look at the players. This isn't going to be fully accurate, but you can take a look at, the traits that you have here, and you can also sort by each one of these. So if you want someone who's highly skilled, B+ means that they're probably a higher skilled person than, a player than somebody else. And you're going to look for interest. One of the things we're probably going to add is a way to sort by interest. Like this guy here is pretty interested in our squad. His popularity is, voted most likely to be tased by his peers. So he's got a low popularity. He's not very popular. So popularity is not one of the things that we actually look at actually, no, I take that back. We do look at popularity. It's for recreation. Recreational facilities are based on popularity, and we do need to make an update on that because the popularity is it's showing as morale actually on the screen. So we're going to have a fix for that, and if it's already fixed, that means you're watching this later on. But basically for popularity, we want to look at recreation, right? So we have one tier for recreation, so it's really not going to make a difference. So it's still white. White is the lowest, as it showed earlier. But we have academics, which we have two tiers, and this guy, but we don't see, the thing is we don't see his IQ here. But if we want to pitch for this guy, let's say we want to pitch academics because we want to take a guess and see if he's a smart guy, right? So once you do that, you will get him on your targeted list. He's still going to be in here. There he is right here. But you're going to also unlock some more ratings, some more traits, right? So now we can see his IQ is very low, so he really wasn't interested. But his interest level has gone up since we pitched him, because when you pitch, it'll either go up or it'll go down. In his case, it went up, right? So you're going to want to look at all of this information here to decide who you want to choose. And in this case, like this guy's got a high loyalty. If he was in Georgia, then he may be really interested in joining the school because he lives in the same state and his loyalty is very high, right? Prestige is another one. If you have someone who's a winner, like if you're looking for someone who's a winner, and we have a very high prestige school, you can pitch someone based on prestige. Actually, this guy's not super high in winner, and I'm assuming that if he has a high winner attribute, then you're going to want to, like this guy. This guy wants to go to a winning school. We're a pretty high attribute team, prestige team. So I'm gonna do prestige. I don't know why it's not highlighting green here, because I think it should, but maybe it's because it's early in the week. Maybe it's because that soft trait's not 100% accurate. We don't really know, but I'm gonna pitch for prestige, and it looks like he didn't accept. His interest level's super low though. Maybe that's why, because it's also based, the pitching is also based on the interest level, right? So, and I know we're going through a lot and I'm rambling a lot, but there's a lot of information and you have to really think about what you're doing. I would never pitch to this guy because his interest level is basically nothing, right? So you kind of want to start by looking at interest levels, and from there you can kind of work your way backwards. This guy's got low greed, right? So if we want to pitch our media, because media is low greed, you can do that, and we didn't get lucky. But his interest should have gone up. Let's find someone else. I want to find someone with a high trait like greed again. We can do media, and we can look at his interest level. It's right now it's right around a little bit above the middle. But if we do another greed facility, which is media, and we have one tier, you can see his interest bumped up a little bit, right? And remember, we're in week 1. You can also auto recruit, and auto recruit will do this for you. But see, I have 45 pitches left, so you're gonna want to go through all of this, and maybe you get lucky and find a stud that wants to play for your team this early, right? I think the winner one is typically, one that we could shoot for. Academics, if you have someone with high IQ, they may want to join your team because we have the academics tiers, right? So let's just try to find someone with a higher IQ and see if their interest is going to be peaked. So this guy's got a high IQ, but he's got no interest at all, right? So if we look at him, he's probably not even going to highlight. Oh, we already targeted him, so never mind. Let's find someone else here. So this guy's got like a medium. So if we push academics, we're pitching to him and we'll see what happens. And like I said, this is week 1. If we start to advance and we look at our targeted list, we can see the interest levels. This guy's interest has gone way up, right? So if we really want to pick up this dude, we can try and look at his soft traits. And from here, it's hard to say what to do, but let's just shoot for academics. So we got him, right? So you picked up this guy, we got to recruit. We're going to give him a scholarship, right? So from here, you can change your player. You can pick who you want to replace. And we're picking up an 80 wide receiver. So we accomplished our goal of getting someone in the 80s, and that's great, right? So every week that goes by, you have a better chance. This guy already had high interest, and we're using our facilities to improve our chances to pitch, right? So that's how it works. We're just in year 1. We don't have a lot of facilities. In this case, we went very hard on the scouting to reveal all of the traits, but we still don't have a lot of pull when it comes to the different areas, right? But in this case, we got this player. And again, just so you guys are aware, this is going to be tuned, right? It's going to be tuned. It's going to be improved. We're collecting feedback from the community. And if we think that we need to change some things to make it easier to understand, or if the highlighting of the colors is not very easy to pick up, or it's not working the right way, obviously we're going to fix it. So this is the first release. This is the way it looks now. This is how it feels. And it's got all the pieces that we really need, but there will be some improvements to the engine and fine tuning it, of course, after release. So keep an eye on that. But I say we replace the lowest guy here. So in this case, we're going to replace this person. And you can also look at your roster from here, so you can decide, what level these guys are at too. Walk-ons are basically rookies. They're freshmen. And then we have one junior who's a 73. So if we wanted to get rid of the junior, we could. Samson. So if we wanted to go through here and pick Samson, we could, and we accept, and now we are going to have him on our squad, right? So if we look at the roster, this is our guy, number or whatever, Sandy. He's an 80. He's got a 91 speed. That's a great recruit, right? So that's how recruiting works. You go through every single week, and once you're done targeting all the players, you're going to get your list of commits. Right now, we only have one committed player. This guy, he's not, but see how his interest bumped up because we're in week 4. We can try for this person. They're denying the scholarship, so you might lose someone. And if you're trying to pitch someone that is not interested and you keep pitching them, this guy will do location. Let's see. He didn't want to come because he's in Georgia, but he didn't want to come still. So, but you're going to want to fill up your scholarships. And if you don't get enough people to come to your school for whatever reason, whether it be you don't have the facilities, or you don't have a good enough school, or you just picked the wrong players, you're going to be left with whatever players you have as walk-ons, and that's going to be your final list. So there's a lot of metagame here, and we strongly suggest that you play around with it and you give us feedback. And as I said, we will make improvements if we see things need changing. But that's basically recruiting in a nutshell. We hope that you guys enjoyed the video. And again, hopefully you're enjoying the game. And if you have any comments or questions, put them in the comments below, and we'll try to get to them as best we can. And enjoy the game. See you on the field. Peace.